All right, grade 9s, we're going to review finding surface area of composite objects. Okay, remember surface area is areas that are exposed in your 3D surface. Okay, so if we look at this composite object that's given to us here, we can see that there's a cylinder and there's a rectangular prism, and the faces of the rectangular prisms are all exposed, and except for the top. Okay, not all of the top is exposed anymore because the cylinder is covering a part of that top. Okay, so when we are finding the surface area of the top, we need to remember to subtract that area of the circle here, because that is the area that is not exposed. Looking at the cylinder, the top of the cylinder is exposed, the sides of the cylinders are exposed, but the bottom of the cylinder is not exposed because it's connected to that rectangular prism. Okay, so that's what we're going to be mindful of when we calculate the surface area of this object here. All right, again, there are multiple ways to find surface areas of composite objects, but we're going to use one method here. Might work for you. As you try more questions, you're going to find ways that works best for you. Okay, so the method that I like to use is just dividing the shapes into the shapes that I know. Okay, so looking at this one composite object, I'm going to divide it into the cylinder part, which is the top part, and then the rectangular prism part. Okay, so I'll write the rectangular prism down here. Okay, let's start with one shape. Let's start with the cylinder. Looking at the cylinder, we see that the top of the cylinder is exposed and then the side of the cylinder is exposed, not the bottom. So I need to add, for the surface area of my cylinder is going to be area of the circle at the top, and we know that to get the area of a circle, the equation is pi r squared plus, to get the side of my cylinder, okay, you're going to recall that the surface area to get the cylinder is 2 pi r squared because of the two little circles, and then the side is actually equal to 2 pi times r times h. Okay, so in this case, because we don't have two circles, instead of going 2 pi r squared, we're just going to go 1 pi r squared, add 2 pi r h to it. Okay, now I'm just gonna plug in the values that I know. Looking at the question, we're given the diameter of the circle, but not the radius, okay? But we know that radius is half of the diameter, so we're just gonna write that over here. Okay, now I just have to plug in what I know, pi times radius squared, which is 3 squared, plus 2 pi times radius times height, which is the height of how tall the cylinder is, and it looks like that's 10. Okay, I'm just gonna solve for this now. I have 9 pi plus 60 pi is equal to 69 pi. Put that in my calculator. 69 times pi gives us 216.76 meters squared. Okay, so that's the area of my cylinder I have here. Now I'm going to look at my rectangular prism. Okay, looking at my rectangular prism, in a normal rectangular prism I have the front and the back, which are symmetrical, two sides that are symmetrical, and then the top and the bottom that are symmetrical. I'm gonna calculate the surface area of the rectangular prism like it's on its own, so we're gonna ignore the cylinder and then deal with that little circle at the top. Okay, so surface area of a prism normally is, I'm gonna get the area of one face, so let's start with the front. Okay, looking at the front, I'm going to have two of these shapes because there's one at the front and one at the back. So I'm going to go 2 times area of the front plus, and let's look at the side. I'm going to have 2 of these sides as well because there's one on the right and there's one on the left side there. Okay, so I'm going to go 2 times area of the side plus, lastly, I have the top. We're going to pretend that cylinder's not there for a sec. Okay, and that top has the same area as the surface on the bottom that we can't see. Okay, so 2 times area of the top. Okay, all right, to get the area of rectangles, remember area of a rectangle is equal to base times height. We're going to remember that when we plug this in. Okay, so 2 times area of the front is, this rectangle is the base of 20 and the height of 18, so I'm going to go 20 times 18. Plus 2 times the area of the sides. Looking at the sides, this rectangle has a base of 16, height of 18. So we're going to go 16 times 18 plus 2 times area of the top. Top shape has a base of 20, okay, and a height of 16. So we're going to go 20 times 16. Our area is equal. We're just going to use our calculators. 720 plus 576 plus 640. Okay. Adding all of this together, I have 1,936 meters squared. But I am not done because my rectangular prism isn't a normal rectangular prism. It is part of this composite shape, and my top of the rectangular prism is partly covered by the cylinder. Only surface of the cylinder that touches my rectangular prism is the base, which is a circle. Okay, so let's say if I took the cylinder off of the rectangular prism, the top of the rectangular prism is going to have a mark, okay, like this, where that circle was. Okay, so I'm going to, from the area of the rectangle that I got, subtract the area of the circle to get the area that's exposed on my rectangular prism right now. So I'm going to go total surface area of the rectangular prism minus the area of the circle, which is pi r squared. 1,936 minus pi times radius squared gives us 1,936 minus 9 pi. This gives us 9 times 3.1415 minus 1,907.73 meters squared. Okay, now I found out the surface area of the cylinder, surface area of the rectangular prism without the circle, surface area of the rectangular prism with the circle area in mind. What am I going to do with these numbers? I need to now add them together. Okay, but the only numbers I'm going to add together are this one, because this is the surface area of the top shape, this one, because this is the surface area of the bottom shape. Okay, so I'm going to add these two together to get my total surface area is equal to 216.76 plus 1907. Okay, and I use my calculator. 216.76 plus 1,907 and 73 hundredths, 2124.49. I can round this to 2,124 and 5 tenths, and my unit is meters squared. And that is my surface area for this composite object. Okay? All right, just to recap, the reason we took away the area of that circle, okay, was because that circle part is not exposed on my rectangular prism anymore. Okay, so after getting the surface area of the rectangular prism, I took away the area of the circle, okay, that gets covered. Okay, so this becomes the only exposed surface area of the rectangular prism. This is the only exposed surface area for the cylinder. I'm going to add those two numbers together to get my final answer.